The scams of 2026 and 2027 and 2028 are probably starting today, but people getting into them just don't know they're a scam yet. So the last few months, I have seen a number of fraudulent groups come out of the weeds. Now, they've been doing fraudulent stuff for months and even years, but now we're just discovering that they were doing fraud before. And actually, a lot of these I was able to call out. There was one big scam, actually, CoffeeZillow did this whole thing on it, $500 million scam that he kind of uncovered. I had multiple friends that I told 18 months ago to get out of this scam. At the time, they thought it was an amazing printing press machine. And it was funny, the last 2 weeks, I had a couple of these friends call me up and say, Bridger, thank you so much for getting me out of this scam. And they kept asking me, like, how did you identify? How did you know that was a scam 18 months ago or 2 years ago? So in this video, I wanna break down how I actually do diligence on funds, on processes, on syndications. I get pitched all the time. I've probably been pitched hundreds, if not thousands of times from funds. And I'll walk you through my due diligence questionnaire, how I actually look and analyze different funds or investments I'm looking into. So the first thing I do when I get pitched by my brother-in-law or a cousin or a friend, like all of us do, I'm sure you've had this happen where people come and pitch you about stuff. The first question I always ask is why, like, are they coming to me? And how are we the only ones on earth to figure this out? I'll tell you an example. 6 months ago, I've actually had 2 groups do this to me, call me up, Bridger, I've got a friend of somebody that lives in Singapore that wants to sell $100 million of Bitcoin. And they want to sell it on a private market. They don't want to go through exchanges, and they're willing to sell it at a 10% discount. So if you can come up with 90 million, you're buying $100 million of Bitcoins and you can just turn around and sell them or whatever you want to do. There's a few transaction fees, but you'll probably make $7 to $8 million on this one deal. It's pretty easy. You want to hear about it. And the first question I always ask is like, okay, how are we hearing about this? Like me and you know, me and Joe or Taylor or Jimmy, whoever I'm talking to, like us. You know, we're not in some tower on Wall Street. We're pretty regular Joes. Like really, they've scoured the earth and they've talked to everybody, and it's coming down to me and Timmy in Salt Lake City, Utah, are hearing about this. Okay, now as cool as I think I am, and I have a big following and stuff, I still would go like, why me? If I was Warren Buffett, okay, I'm getting access to exclusive material. And sometimes maybe it is, but have they like really? How is it coming to me? And the fact that it's coming to me makes me very skeptical. They couldn't find anybody else that would do this deal, but they're hoping a couple of Joe Schmoes like me and you are gonna go put this deal together for them and come up with $90 million to buy some Bitcoins. So the first thing I always do, again, look at the background of the scope of why am I hearing about this? And now, even if I think it's BS, even if I think it's a fraud, I love taking the call. I want to now move to the next phase where, hey, let's learn a little bit more. Let's hop on the phone. I want to hear the pitch. Even if I think it's ridiculous, I want to hear the pitch. And this is where I've heard hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pitches from people that have actually ran very legit things and people that have ran very fraudulent things. So that leads me to the second phase now, is where they actually usually get on the phone or a Zoom call and give me walk me through this thing. So what happens, the team will get on and they start pitching on whatever. So I'll take you through this example with the Bitcoin thing. Now they do their little dog and pony pitch, and I'm always asking the questions, well, why are they doing this deal? If someone has $100 million of Bitcoin, they're not an idiot. They're not gonna say, oh yeah, let's just take a $10 million loss. They're smart. What's their motivation? Maybe they don't want to have regulators see that they're selling these Bitcoins. Maybe it's black market money. Maybe it's illegal money. All right, what's motivating them to do this? And why don't they just go sell it themselves on public exchanges? So in this second phase, I start to look at motives. Now they're gonna come up with reasons of, oh, there's regulatory issues. They're in a lawsuit with their partner. Maybe they're doing illegal transactions and want to scrub or wash the money through you. And I've actually been pitched on a number of these large Bitcoin deals, and what typically happens is I can't figure out their true motivation. And again, this is where you have to point stop. You gotta stop thinking about the $7 or $8 or $10 million you're gonna make. If you can't figure out their motivation for selling or getting out of this deal, then oftentimes the deal might not even be real. Now this dovetails into what the third section, where you start to move into a deeper due diligence process. So number one, I've gone through what's the background, what's the history. Number two, what's the motivation behind the person giving me this great deal or offer. And then number three, okay, let's now dive into the team and background. So a great example is with CoffeeZillow just exposed Trader's Domain, which is an alleged $500 million scam. Now I was pitched by multiple people on this about 2 years ago. And sadly enough, I probably know about $15 to $20 million personally of friends that have put money into this thing, and I don't know if they're gonna get their money out. So why did I not invest and identify this as a scam over 2 years ago? So the pitch was, you have a little trading bot, you put money in, and every single day they're trading and they're gonna make little incremental gains, and over the course of a month and steadier, your money will compound. And they were seeing doubling or tripling of money every single year compounded. People were putting in $20,000 and ending up with $200,000 or $500,000 over the course of 18 months or 2 years. Now, the person referring me would get kind of a kickback or an override of that, but still, even with that override, it's still a really good return. And every day the people would open up their little app and they were so excited, Bridger, I'm making so much money, this is amazing. And then I'm an idiot to not get in. So I looked back at phase 2, what's their motivation? If this person who's built this trading bot is so good at trading and they are doubling and tripling money, why is Bridger Pennington just hearing about it from my in-laws or friends or cousins? If they were really that good at trading, they would be running a $100 billion hedge fund on Wall Street. They would make way more money doing that. Why would you let little guys like me and my friends to get in with a couple $100,000? It just didn't make sense to me. Now, moving on to the third phase, I started to do due diligence on the team, the people running this, and I couldn't find background checks on them. I couldn't find if they had a family. I couldn't find what their previous businesses were. It was very much smoke and mirrors, and you just trust this little trading bot that's put together perfectly for you that's gonna just triple and compound your money. Now, as I'm telling you this seems obvious, right? You look at this thing and you're like, it's a trading bot. It's obviously there's some kind of fraudulent activity going on here. Now, you'd be surprised. I have friends that have put in over $20 million into this scam. Why? Because they fell in love with the end result, which is kind of phase 4. And this is actually a negotiating tactic my dad and other mentors have taught me for a long time. Never write the check in your brain before you do all your due diligence. And what happens is they fall in love so much with making millions of dollars on this thing, they sometimes jump over steps on their due diligence process. And what happens is they make very bad investments. So for example, let's say I'm selling my company to you for $20 million. And I'm so excited, I'm gonna make $20 million on this thing. And we've been doing due diligence. We get to the signing table and we're there, and I've already told my wife and my friends, and my wife in her brain, she's already buying a new car, and I'm already buying a new boat in my brain. We just gotta sign the documents. We're so excited. We show up to signing day, we sit down across the table. I'm ready, I'm about to take my vacation around the world. I'm moving to Fiji, whatever the plan is in the back of my brain. And you show up and you go, hey Bridger, we were gonna buy for 20 million. Last night, our analysts were looking at us. We just didn't feel good about 20 million. The market's kind of shifted, but we can do it for 12 million. This happens a lot, where private equity firms, the day of signing, will renege and go for 50% of their current offer. And it's a negotiation tactic because I am already sold. I'm already buying the boats and the yachts, and you know what? 12 million sounds pretty good. It's not quite 20 million, but yeah, you know what? 12 is pretty good, and I just want to get over with this. And a lot of groups say, you know what? Let's just do it for 12 or 13 or 14. They talk them up a little bit. Let me just sign because I got to go buy my boat and I got to move on and go on my trip. And the business owner ends up doing a bad deal or underselling their company because they've already purchased and bought the things at the end result. So as you get to phase 3, you can keep a level head, don't sell yourself on the boat before things happen, and then you can start doing deep due diligence. You want to fact check everything they've said in their presentations, how much money they've raised, how much money they've brought in. Do you have third-party audits? Do you have third-party administrators? Are you filed with the SEC? If you're not, why not? Are you filed with FINRA? If you are not, why not? I personally will not invest in a deal unless they have at least a third-party administrator checking their numbers and or a third-party audit checking their numbers. I'm not gonna just trust that they're just gonna do the spreadsheets right and pay me back my money correctly. I'm gonna have my legal teams actually read the documentation. You'd be surprised how many sophisticated investors, people that are multimillionaires, don't read their documents. They sign, and then 2 years later, they talk to me, they go, Bridger, I didn't realize I'm paying all these fees, these percentages, and all this stuff, and I'm in a really bad deal. And I go, did you read the documents? They go, well, I just trusted the guy. He's a friend of mine. We shook hands. And I said, that's great and all, but it's a different deal of being friends and also investing money. And typically, if you invest money with friends on a handshake deal and you don't read the documents, your friendship usually goes down the pot anyways. So it's better to read the documents, make sure things are done up front. Now, what's interesting right now is the market is cycling. And as Warren Buffett says, the tides are going out, and we're gonna see who's wearing underwear and who's not wearing underwear. There's already been a number of scams exposed this year, and I believe it will continue to happen as this market cycles. Now, the crazy part is these scams already existed for years. We're just now finding out about them. The scams of 2026 and 2027 and 2028 are probably starting today, but people getting into them just don't know they're a scam yet. So I would be very particular with what I invest into. So again, to review, if you can do number 1, find out the background of the deal. Number 2, go and find the actual motivations of the deal. Number 3, go do due diligence. Make sure there's third-party administrators, third-party audits on your deal. Read your documents. Have a legal team read your documents. See if there's any dead bodies in the closets of these previous founders or business partners on this deal. And if you do a process like that, and you can tweak a few things here and there, it will generally keep you out of very bad deals. Hopefully this is helpful and saves you a bunch of money over the course of your investing career. And it's always good to approach these deals with a skeptical mindset, even if they're your best friend or cousin pitching you. So with that, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.